Okay, so pause the video and read this and get an idea, okay? And get an idea of what the problem's asking. Okay, so let's get started. So this problem says this is the youth in New York, and this is the police, the youth distribution of ethnicities in New York, and this is the distribution of ethnicities in the police department. So they want to say, does the police follow the same distribution as the youth? Okay, and notice they take, this is how many police officers, so this is everybody. Okay, okay, so this is actually what we observed, and this is what would be true or real or true. So let's go ahead and start off and get in our expected and our observed list. Okay, and I think I have these. And it's important to note that the observed list cannot have decimals. The observed list cannot have decimals. Okay, so let's bring this back in here. So it's kind of away from everybody. Let's do this. Let's take a look and see what list I have these in. Okay, 292. Okay, so I have these here. This list 1 is my observed list. Okay, and list 2, I'm sorry, I got it backwards. List 1 is my observed, okay, and list 2 is my expected. If you look at the first one in here is 0.292, 0.282, so put all these in your calculator that follow, okay, but the thing is these need to be, this is what I expect, okay, this is what I expect because I think this is true. So how many white, if you took 26,181 youths, how many whites should be in that group? So all you have to do is take that number, take this number, and multiply it times 26181, because that gives you a percentage of this whole. So let's go ahead and do that for everybody. So I'm going to go up to L2 and I'm going to highlight on it. Okay, now it's blinking down here. Now I'm going to do 26181 times L2. L2. Now this is going to find the expected number of youths for each ethnicity. Okay, so there we go. Now it's very important. You're going to do the same thing for L1, but I went and changed and took all these decimals out. You cannot have decimals in your observed list. They have to be whole numbers. So I just rounded to the nearest whole, just like before. Okay, so now that I have my list in there, let me go ahead and fill them out. So this is what I observed. This is what happened in the police department. I'm just filling these in from my calculator. You're allowed to have decimals in the expected. And as you could see, we observed almost 17,000, and we only expected about 7,000. So you could see, most likely, that the police distribution of ethnicities does not match the youth distribution, but we have to prove it statistically. Okay, so now that we have those in, we almost pretty much have everything that we have. So let's set up the null. The null would be that the police distribution of these follows, I don't think there's a pause over there, follows the youth's distribution. Okay, and then the alternative would be that the police distribution does not follow the youth's distribution. Okay, let's go ahead and do our assumptions. On this one, I don't think we need the random sampling too much because we're just interested in this distribution compared to this distribution. I'm not taking a sample and saying something about everybody, but we do need the expected counts to be greater than or equal to 5, and that works out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this observed and this expected to another page. Okay, so here we have this. This is the important thing. Go ahead and group this. Not sure if that erases. Okay, so good. So next, we're doing a chi-squared GOF test, and we want to find the chi-squared. The chi-squared equals observed I'm just going to do the first one and the last one. Plus. Okay, so I'm going to do, all these are terms. 52 minus. Okay, so now that I have that, I'm going to pull my calculator over. I have all my observed in this one. I have my expected in this two. So the same thing that we did before. Let's go ahead and stat over here. Okay, over to test. Up to good as a fit. I have my observed in list 1 and my expected in list 2. My degree of freedom is 4. See, I have 5 categories, so it's 4. And calculate. Okay, so I get 16512.745. That's my kite squared. So the p-value is basically 0 in this case, but that's the probability that we would obtain a chi-squared that's actually greater than this. It's a probability of if the model was really true, and that's basically 0. Okay, so now I'm going to make a decision. Okay, since our p-value is essentially 0, p-value is so small, we reject the null. So what does rejecting the null mean? Let me move my calculator out of the way. What does rejecting the null mean? This means that I'm rejecting this. Say a no to this, which means that I found evidence for this. Okay, so the police distribution does not follow the same percentages as the youth. We found evidence. The police department does not follow the same percent distribution of the youth. Or another way to say this is the police department distribution is not representative of the youth distribution. The second way is probably a little better. Okay, so that one's done.